More on this Final Four, we bring in Yahoo Sports' Pat Forde. Pat, your initial thoughts on this Final Four and these four teams?
Heavyweight matchups. I mean, this is a very, very enticing set of semifinals and could lead to an epic final. Very excited to see both games, really. I think a rematch that's been a year in the making between Wisconsin and Kentucky. Kentucky on this incredible run, and Wisconsin just spoiling for that chance to get another shot at them. So I know the Badgers have been thinking about this, dreaming about it, working toward it for a year. And then on the other side, two of the great tournament coaches out there, Mike Krzyzewski, Tom Izzo. Spartans look like the team that doesn't really fit in as a 7 seed. I think the seeding is totally immaterial. I've seen them play a bunch here in this month, and I mean they've looked fantastic. They've played great. They've had to battle for it, but I think that they are going to give Duke a very good game on Saturday.
You're better at having a remembrance of history and things like this. Can you think of a year with a better set of 4 head coaches in a Final Four than the 4 we have here?
You know, nothing comes to mind immediately. Because you are talking about one that's in the Hall of Fame, 2 that are currently nominated for the Hall of Fame, and Tom Izzo will eventually and inevitably be in the Hall of Fame as well. So it is an incredible bunch. They've all been to the Final Four before. 3 of them have won national titles. It's exactly what you want out of college basketball, which tends to be a coach-driven sport. You've got some real marquee guys knocking heads here with a week to prepare for each other, so I can't wait to see what they come up with.
I'm curious your thoughts on this. Who does the casual fan root for?
I would venture to say, Michael, that the Big Ten will never be more popular than it is this week going into Saturday, because the 2 teams people love to hate are Duke and Kentucky. And I think that the Michigan State's generally a very likable team. Wisconsin's a very likable team. Kentucky, because of how big they are, because of the brashness of John Calipari, the way he's constructed his program, his paranoia, quite frankly, has created some critics. Duke with a little bit of holier-than-thou, you might say, attitude. I think that the Big Ten schools will be heavy favorites for the casual fans.
Okay, let's talk about Kentucky for a second. The close call against Notre Dame. Do you take away from that, man, they really can be beaten? Or do you take away from that, man, when it gets close, they can hit their final 9 field goals in a row and go undefeated?
I take both, quite frankly. I mean, I do think they can be beaten. I picked Wisconsin to beat them before the tournament started. I still think Wisconsin can beat them. But at the same time, you've got to play a near-perfect game to do it. I mean, Notre Dame played sensationally, and you go back and think, the 2 free throws that were missed by their 2 best players, Pat Connaughton missed one, Jerry Grant missed one. Those kind of things, you can't do that against them. All of your best players have to play great games. You have to get some surprise efforts by role players. You've probably got to get lucky. You may need a little bit of help with the whistle. I mean, there's so many things that have to go into it to beat them. And you're right, the X factor there beyond all of that is if you get Kentucky in a life or death struggle that's going down to the last possession, they have an unbelievable way of winning it. They won so many of those games last year in the tournament. They've won several games like that this year, and this was probably the toughest test yet, and they survived.
Which of these 4 remaining teams do you think is playing the best ball right now?
I got to say Duke, I think. And I mean, they have really been impressive to me. They've taken care of their business without a whole lot of drama or struggle to this point. And maybe they haven't played a team as good as a Notre Dame yet. Maybe they haven't played a team as good as an Arizona. But I am really impressed with just the level of play from Duke. Justice Winslow is rising up and playing at a top 5 NBA pick kind of level right now to go along with Jahlil Okafor and Tyus Jones and all the other guys that they've got performing at a high level. So I'm really impressed with Duke at this point.
The Big Ten team most likely to win on Saturday is which team, Pat?
I'm going with Wisconsin, even though they're playing the undefeated team and the heavy favorite. As I said, I really think they match up well with Kentucky. I think getting a week off to rest, I just wonder if they've been a little bit weary from the Big Ten tournament and from that just slugfest with Michigan State to win the Big Ten tournament. And it's maybe taken a little bit of juice out of them the first 2 weekends of the NCAAs, and I think get that week under their belt and get ready for a team they really want to play. I think it sets up well for them to be ready on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what's the better story. Is the better story that someone beats Kentucky, or is the better story that Kentucky ends up going undefeated?
Oh boy, that's it's a really good question. Either of them would be fantastic
Right.
stories. I mean, they'd both be amazing to see because you think a lot of people think Kentucky can't be beaten. So what would it take to beat them and who could do it? But on the other hand, a lot of people don't think you can go 40-0. And if they could pull it off, I mean, you're talking about a historic feat.
Well, no matter which story is written, it will be written by Pat Forde. Pat, thanks so much for the time. Enjoy the Final Four, man.
Thank you, Mike.